welcome to our second episode of the Indian Formula One Grand Prix special, Overdrive on Track. Now, as most of you are already aware, the world champion for this season was decided last weekend at the Buddh International Circuit. Sebastian Vettel has been crowned the youngest quadruple world champion in the history of the sport, and Red Bull have won their fourth consecutive Constructors' title right here at the BIC. And this is how it all happened. It all began when the third edition of the Indian Grand Prix was in the media for all the wrong reasons. Between the doubters and the enthusiasts, a resilient JP Group was working hard to ensure that the Buddh International Circuit hosted a hat-trick of flawless Grand Prix. There were certainties that needed mathematical validation. If Sebastian Vettel lost no more than 15 points from his lead to Fernando Alonso, and Red Bull no more than 19 points from their lead to Ferrari and Mercedes, at the end of the race, India would witness a double coronation. The fourth consecutive one for both. Very few could bet against the chances of this happening going into the race weekend. Friday's two practice session and Saturday's FP3 confirmed this further, as Vettel and his Red Bull looked unmatched in pace and consistency. Carrying his momentum further, Vettel snatched pole position for the third time in 3 years, with a BIC lap record shattering time of 1 minute 24.119 seconds. The only ones to come close to this time were the Silver Arrows of Nico Rosberg and Lewis Hamilton, who qualified in second and third place respectively.
Always a little bit hazy here, so you want to make sure you start from the front, otherwise you don't see the lights. I don't know, I like this track, obviously been phenomenal yesterday and today.
Yeah, I'm pleased. No, it was a good qualifying and very difficult weekend because we really pushed the limits on everything on setup. Just went a bit crazy on that, just looking for the extra tenth out of this car for the end of the season, and I think we found it.
Happy to be up there, and I hope that tomorrow we can try and fight the guys that are behind us and stay ahead of as many people as possible.
It was a possibility to get pole, but not that easy. So I thought, let's do something different, and it actually worked out okay. He's still going to be in sight on the grid, hopefully still in sight at the end of the first few laps, and then the race will go from there. Obviously it's not just always about Seb, but we need to focus on our own race and get to the end of the Grand Prix.
The lack of attendance on Friday and Saturday at the Buddh International Circuit was alarming and disturbing, as both local and international media and delegates began to question India's interest in the pinnacle of motorsports. Race day changed all of that, and at the start of the race we witnessed a completely packed grandstand, with the attendance surprisingly matching last year's at 60,000 strong, which is way more than what Wankhede Stadium had during the World Cup final. Tyre strategy was to be a critical part of this year's race, as we saw different strategies adopted even within teams. Vettel started from pole position on soft compound, while his teammate Mark Webber started on medium compounds from fourth position. This meant that after storming off to a blistering start, Vettel pitted at the end of the first lap itself to change to more durable mediums. Webber's strategy meant that despite a terrible start, he led the race from the 9th lap to the 29th lap when he pitted for the first time. For a while it looked like the Aussie's day, but an alternator failure put an end to his final Formula One campaign in India on the 40th lap.
I felt already some problems with the gearbox, and then I told the guys about that, and then they thought we're clear, but then it looks like it's just come up very quickly.
Sebastian Vettel regained the race lead on the 29th lap, and from there on drove a spectacularly flawless race all the way to the checkered flag, sealing his fourth consecutive championship title in style. His post-race shenanigans earned him a fine of €25,000, but that was a small price to pay for the well-deserved celebrations for one of the greats of all times.
I struggled. I crossed the line and I was empty, You could argue, yeah, well, you could see that one coming, but I love driving the car, and I said it to the boys last night, that I love to give everything I have on a Sunday, and for the whole weekend, really trying to give back, what they give me, hours of work, attention to detail. So, yeah, what are we here for? We're here to win.
Behind the champion, it was anybody's guess who would make up the other two podium positions. The strongest contenders were the Silver Arrows of Nico Rosberg and Lewis Hamilton, who had qualified just behind Vettel. But no one ruled out some brilliance from title contenders Fernando Alonso and Kimi Raikkonen despite an average qualifying. However, it was Nico Rosberg who held his own till the very end, stealing his best result at India with second place.
Yeah, I'm pleased. I mean, best of the rest. That was the target for the weekend, and I achieved that together with my team. And for once, you know, a normal weekend where everything went normally, and so second place is great.
But the drive of the day was arguably from Romain Grosjean, who stunned everyone with a third place finish after being relegated in Q3, starting in 17th place on the grid. No one, including Grosjean himself, would have bet on him to reach the podium step going into the race. But his pace was so strong that the Lotus team had to ask his teammate Kimi Raikkonen to get out of his way, in not as polite a manner.
It wasn't an easy race. We have been brave yesterday in quali for the strategy that didn't work out, and this morning when I came I said, come on guys, I think we all agreed to be very brave today, and soft tires hold better than what we thought at the beginning of the race. That allows us to get a few more laps, which may have been the key at the end of the race.
The only driver who could have theoretically stopped the raging Sebastian Vettel from being crowned in India was Fernando Alonso, who had to finish at least in second place. The double world champion, however, couldn't match the pace of the Red Bulls throughout the weekend and had the most disappointing race, finishing in 11th position. His worst result since he retired in the second race of the season in Malaysia.
Yeah, obviously not a clear start. A little bit unlucky because I think Mark also was having a contact with someone, and then the third part was me on that equation, and then with Button as well in corner 4, it was a little bit of mixed start, and you know, the race was uphill from that moment because we were last with one stop more compared to the others already done, so difficult race and not enough pace.
The Force Indias of Paul di Resta and Adrian Sutil, after qualifying 12th and 13th, put on an impressive show in what could possibly be their last home race, scoring a double points finish with 8th and 9th place.
We done what we could, and I think damage limitation going away, I think hopefully the shareholders will be happy with some points on both cars, given where we are, and a week to recover and head into Abu Dhabi hopefully a bit stronger.
Well, here's a quick trivia for all you Red Bull fans out there. For the past 2 years, Sebastian Vettel has led all of the 120 laps here at the Buddh International Circuit. But last race weekend, we saw his teammate Mark Webber break that streak by leading 20 of those laps. On that note, let's take a quick break here on Overdrive on Track. But coming back on the other side, we tell you what to expect from the 2014 racing season.